Alright, hey everyone, welcome back to another video. This one is just going to be super technical, no hype, no nothing like that. Just talking about one of my favorite types of funnels to build for clients and one that I use for myself, and using some examples of where it's worked, and this is webinar funnels. If you don't know what a webinar funnel is, I'm going to explain it to you in this video, how you can apply one to your business, and if you'd like me to come in and do this for you, you can happily contact me. I've got everything you need to know in the description. This is great if you're running a social media marketing agency, like I teach a lot of the people on this YouTube channel, because when you're running a social media marketing agency, sometimes you need to come into the business and do work for the business, build new funnels, build new processes for them, so that then you can run ads to them and get them more sales. And I've done that for my clients before. As well, if you run a personal brand, it's great to implement a webinar funnel to sell whatever it is that you're selling. I am working on one now for my coaching services and my course if I come out with one soon. And so a webinar funnel is just a really powerful way to sell high-ticket products, right? And I think that's what I'm going to put in the title, is just how to sell high-ticket on autopilot. So I wanted to make this video breaking down what a webinar funnel is, how it works, and how you can build one. So this is my presentation explaining webinar funnels, how I generated a massive return on investment for clients. So what webinars work for? So high-ticket online courses, typically above $1,000, because you're going to spend about $500 on industry average to get a purchase of whatever you're selling at the end of a webinar presentation. So you typically don't want to charge any less than $1,000 for whatever it is that you're selling. You might think, well, Trey, that's a lot to charge for something. Well, make something that's worth that amount of money, right? Make a course, make a program, make a consulting service, sell something that's worth that amount of money. At 16 years old, I was selling wedding photography packages for 2.5 grand. Anybody can sell something over that 1K mark, right? It's a matter of solving a problem that's worth that much, right? And so tons of people are doing it. I've got buddies who sell $10,000, marketing consulting packages, on a weekend, and it's no big deal to them. So if you sell something that's worth that much, it's easy to, that's a different topic, but essentially solve a problem that's worth more than about $1,000, right? Another thing is high-ticket consulting services above 1.5 grand. Again, this is going back to consulting and, one-off services. Another thing that you can actually think about as a social media marketing agency owner, you can put people through a webinar if you wanted to work with your agency. And since you have people on a retainer, you can sell, $1,000 retainers, and then, that lifetime value of a customer. So if you are in a business where, you have a monthly recurring payment of some kind, or a weekly recurring or something like that, then you can think about the lifetime value of a customer on average. So for my agency, I typically keep clients for like 7 or 8 months, sometimes more, sometimes less. And so if I say, okay, they're paying me $1,500, then, 1,500 times about 8 is the typical amount of money that I'd be making from them. So I'm willing to spend, about a fifth of that in order to obtain them, because I know long-term I'm still in the green. And then lastly, any automatically delivered service or product above 1.5K. So like anything that, you can't inherently run out of stock for, like a course is a great option for this because it's fully digital, or anything that you can kind of cut if it's not, if you have too many, that's just some good requirements for whatever you're selling at a webinar. So this is very, very broad, but I'm going to dive a bit deeper now. So here's a basic webinar funnel. So you have on the front end, you have a Facebook ad, and this is my preferred way of marketing a webinar funnel. Other than that, you can build a brand of some kind. Typically a personal brand is attached to a webinar funnel or something along those lines. But a Facebook ad then to a landing page, and I'll explain all these steps in detail here in a moment. After that, you've got the webinar. From the webinar, you either get people on a call or straight to a sales page, and on that call you close, or at the sales page they purchase the program or the, consulting service or whatever it is that you're selling, right? And so why I typically split the two is, instead of just sending straight to a page and also doing a call, as I've seen lots of success with services that are over like $2,000, you're typically going to want to send them to a call, because, to sell cold, to cold traffic, which means people who aren't familiar with you yet, to sell them a $2,000 program or service is really, really hard unless you get them on a call, or you get them on a call with a salesperson of some kind. I know, for example, if you maybe know Dan Henry, he runs a webinar to sell a program on how to start a ads agency, a Facebook ads agency. It's called a 30-day agency, and he runs this exact same system. So Facebook ad to landing page to webinar to a sales page to a sale. Now there's a slightly higher version. I forget, he sells another course, but it's like 2.5K to get into that one, and he gets people onto a call with a team of about 10 salespeople whom he's trained personally to close these leads, and they close, I think, about 35% of the people who get on a call. So that's pretty positive return on investment. I think they're spending about, $1,100 to get people onto a call, and then they're making $2,500 on the back end or something like that. And so, it's a positive return on their investment. So that's a basic webinar funnel. You get the point there, right? So we're going to talk now more in depth about the Facebook ad and the ad angle that you're going to want to develop if you're actually going to launch a webinar. So with the Facebook ad, you're going to want to have 4 maybe key things. And keep in mind, I'm sort of spitballing. This is just from the back of my head. This is nothing like I spent probably 25 minutes, probably only 20 minutes getting this presentation ready. There's a lot more involved, but this is going to take you 70% of the way. So with a Facebook ad, you're going to want to call out a specific problem with a question typically, and I'll show you an example of this in a second. You want to point to a simple solution, a big promise. So do you have this problem? Well, here's a easy to tap into, low-hanging fruit solution that anybody can do, right? Talks about others finding a solution, with this solution, Jessica was able to take this solution and go do this, with the solution. So you talk about testimonials or others doing the same thing, or yourself doing the same thing as well if you don't have others that you've helped with this thing yet. Then you offer a free training video to show them the same solution, which is obviously your webinar, right? So you send a link to the landing page to register for your webinar. As you can see above, the next step after the Facebook ad is the landing page. So here's an example. I would screenshot an ad and show it here, but I don't know if the legalities of that. I guess I could screenshot one of my own, but I figured I'd write up one just to show you how easy it is to actually do it so that you don't end up modeling exactly what you see on screen. So you just get the gist, right? So you're not just copy pasting the text here, you're modeling the 4 principles. So with the text, you call out a problem with a question. When you try to lose weight, is it excruciatingly painful and hard? That's a problem that you've called out with a question. This is because you're not following the 4-step LOSS program, which is something I just made up off the top of my head. I don't know what that means. Using the loss program, Amy from Wisconsin lost over 25 pounds in under a month, and so that's then showing others who have tapped into this easy system solution, right? So when you're presenting the simple solution, it's good to present it as a system because people buy systems more than they buy, long processes. Because the reality of life is that nobody can actually, there's no such thing as a simple solution to anything, but there is such thing as taking a complex solution and boiling it down to the 4 most important steps of it and then selling those steps, right? So for someone like me who teaches people how to run a social media marketing agency, there's so much involved in doing that it's insane. But as an educator, it's important for me to take the complexity of that, boil it down to its cores, and then when I coach, I just teach on the cores and I get massive results for people. So because I make it very simple and I don't complicate it more than it needs to be complicated, right? So that's what you're doing here with whatever it is that you're selling. So using this program, Amy from Wisconsin went from 25 or whatever, lost 25 pounds. If you want us to explain the 4-step process, we've created a free training. Here's the link to the page. And that's a very simple example of the text, but you see how powerful that can be, right? That works in any niche. Just change the question to be relevant to whatever problem it is that you're solving. And then with every image ad, you've probably noticed that you have that image underneath. You have a headline, then a learn more or watch now or, buy now button or whatever it is there. And you can have a headline underneath the image. The headline is equally as important as the image, as the text. They all 3 play a massive role. But how anyone can lose weight without grueling daily workouts or nasty diets. So what you're going to want to do is how mass amount of people can do X, which is the problem, without a limiting belief that they may have. So for example, if somebody wants to start let's say somebody wants to start a bee farm or something, how bee newbies can start a bee farm with over 50,000 bees in less than a week without, I don't know enough about bee farming, but maybe you can think of a problem that people typically run into, right? So that's what you're trying to do there. So now we're going to move on to the landing page and show you actually how that works. So with the landing page, we have a couple of things that you should remember. First of all, testimonials from others who have implemented the solution. So for me, when I sell Facebook ad services, maybe, for example, I can say, hey, this person over here, I was able to help them with this. Or for some of my courses that I've sold, like e-commerce courses, or I used to sell a wedding photography course, I can show video testimonials of people, because I just ask my clients to do this. They just record a video and then they send it my way of their experience. And I ask them to state how things were before, what the experience was like during, and then what things were like after. And then that acts as a really nice testimonial. So I put those on the landing page. Then presenter bio, so about you and why you're authorized to train, which is typically pointing to your personal results, how long you've been in the industry, just simple stuff like that. 3 big promises they learn when they sign up, bonuses that they get from staying to the end, a countdown timer, and then a sign up button. I'm going to show you a quick example of this. This is a picture of me. Immediately your eyes go straight to the picture. Guaranteed your eyes went straight to the pictures to make it a nice picture. And then how anyone can build a personal brand that sends them 4-figure coaching students, drives leads, and sells courses on autopilot without building a massive following online. And so for me, one of the small niches that I coach in and that I help people in is actually building their personal brand. Because with this small YouTube channel that you might be watching this on, this generates, as of the past 2 months or so, 6 figures in revenue for my business yearly, which is really incredible. And so it's a nice asset, and I can really teach anybody how to do it. So this is how anyone can build a personal brand that sends 4-figure coaching students, how anyone, right? So anybody, doesn't matter where you're from. I could probably make a better headline, a shorter, more optimized headline, but I didn't really send a ton of traffic to this webinar. And at the end of this webinar, I'm selling a couple of different types of things that actually help people build their personal brand. So then you see a small peek at what I'll be teaching you in the class. 1, 2, and 3, you can just pause the video and read what I put there. And those are just simple things. And then number 4 is 250 plus in free bonuses and training worth over $4,000, which I have legitimately sold this training for much more than I'm presenting it in this webinar for free. You got a button, and then you say, and then 100% free, next class is starting soon, sign up while seats last, and underneath you have the countdown timer. And so you can see on this page, I'm following every single, bullet point that I showed up here at the landing page bullet points, right? So follow those bullet points when you're making a landing page. I recommend using either ClickFunnels or Lead Pages or Infusionsoft or any software like that allows you to just make really, really simple, easy to edit landing pages. I used ClickFunnels for this, so I like ClickFunnels a lot. And I recommend as well that when you're setting up your landing page, you keep it simple. I think a lot of people really like to make the landing pages look amazing, but frankly, the look comes after you've optimized the words. The words are 90% of it. Once you get the right words and the right keywords and the right phrases and the right headline and the right bonuses, then you can get fancy with aesthetics. But don't focus on aesthetics first. Focus on functionality, then aesthetics later. That's why this page looks like crap, but it works really, really well. If you'd like to see this, you can just go to treycockrum.com/ actually, I'm going to leave the link in the description, so you can just click it because the link may change at some point, but you can see my personal branding webinar. It worked okay. I'm working on it, and I want to get it better. So now we're going to actually talk about the content in the webinar, so you can actually see what you put in the webinar, and you can actually learn what to train and how to train on the webinar and how to actually convert someone who's signing up to learn into someone who's interested in a sale or purchasing a service or a product from you. So we've got 6 sort of steps that you're going to want to implement into your webinar whenever you're building it out. So number 1, you have introduce, build rapport and authority. Number 2, you have teach simple systems. Again, you want to have like a 4 or 5 step system or whatever that anyone can implement. 3, drive home that you've gotten results for yourself and others. This is where you show testimonials. 4, begin to shift to the offer. 5, present on the offer and why your offer is the perfect next step. And then 6, call to action. So now I have little bullet points underneath each of these, and I'm going to just briefly go over them. So with number 1, you have who you are, relatable life experiences, when everything changed. So you typically want to have like one moment in your life, because most entrepreneurs have it. Most people, most business owners have this one moment, right? And if you can speak to that, it's relatable. It builds rapport with people. Typically, people have that moment in their life as well. Maybe they went broke, or they almost died in a horrible accident or something. For me, it's my house caught on fire, and I actually was the first to know about the house catching on fire. I had to tell my whole family that we're losing our house. I called them outside, and that's really when my entrepreneurial career began to start, because I wanted to earn more money to give my family like a good Christmas, right? And just because a lot of our money was going back into the problems with the house and all this stuff, and it was just horrible. And so I was just like, all right, I'm going to make a bunch of money. Ended up giving my family a pretty decent Christmas. We had a good budget, which was a big thing for me at the time. And so that's sort of where my career started. I talk about that on most of my webinars now. Number 2, so also on number 1, it was before and after the change. So here I was before, here's who I was after, and after everything changed. And you want that change to be the thing that you're selling on, that you're educating on, right? So I'm not teaching people how to go through a house fire. What I'm teaching people how to do is how to build a personal brand. So I talk about before, and then I went through the house fire, then I discovered personal branding, and then I built my brand, and then after, here I am now with a personal brand that drives like 6 figures in revenue, right? So that's what I'm talking about with that. So number 2, educate people on the big promise. So show people the big promise, how to lose weight, how to do whatever. break it down into simple steps, give notes to take home, offer them free PDFs and stuff that they can download so that they have actually something that they can take home, because most webinars you're going to hit them with email follow-up, and if they have like a physical reminder or digital reminder even, or like a phone background is something that I like to do, give people a phone background to remind them of this new amazing change in their life, right? Then they can have that as a physical reminder. And it helps keep that lead warm. And it also helps educate, helps inspire people, and it helps both ends, right? And it helps them learn more. Number 3 is show testimonials of others who followed your systems, and show the average results and the amazing results. So if you only show people who went on to become millionaires or something from, your consulting service or your course, or people who lost hundreds of pounds of weight or whatever, like, the issue with that is that it's good to show the amazing results, but if you only show the amazing results, then people are less likely in reality to trust you. Because if you show average results and, like, for example, let's say I'm selling a course on or I'm selling a consulting service on Facebook ads for gyms or something like that, right? And I say this gym was able to generate, 400 leads at $4 a piece, and they closed 20 of them, which is like a really conservative amount. But that's still attractive. And then I show the amazing result that I got with this other gym. Talk about how, I got 750 leads for them, and they closed 200 of them, and each of them are paying them $150 a month, and now they're the most popular gym on the planet or whatever. Like, if I show both, it gives me more authority than just showing the amazing ones. And this is something that a lot of people get wrong. Next, begin the shift of the offer. And how you begin the shift is you can say you can try and do this alone and waste tons of time, or follow a step-by-step guide to have it done in under 90 days, right? And 90 days is kind of that golden medium of long enough where people believe they can get it done, and short enough where it's still an attractive offer, right? Because if you go too long, like over a year, people aren't willing to invest that amount of time into your service or software or program or whatever it is that you're selling. But if you can say under 90 days, then it's long enough that they realize that it's a long enough time to change things in their business or their life or whatever it is that you're doing. But it's short enough to make it easy to digest, right? Number 5, present the offer, why it's the perfect next step. So, what your offer includes, why it's better than alternatives, and how it's the perfect solution to the problem. Just really drill in that. And the best, sales pitch for this part is literally just trusting in your service and developing a good service, to be honest with you. There's not really any way to get around that. And then 6 is a call to action. So if you're getting people on a call or sending people to a landing page, this is where you do it. Get them on the call, give them a link to schedule with you. You can use Acuity Scheduling or Schedule Once or softwares like that. And then if you're sending them to a landing page, just make a ClickFunnels basic landing page, and, have more testimonials at this end of the webinar as well, so that you give them time to assess and think about their decision. You want to also include a frequently asked question. So after the link has appeared for them to go check out whatever it is that you're selling, give another 15 minutes of just frequently asked questions, and then other testimonials and results that you've gotten, to give them that 15-minute window, because a lot of people will take 5 to 10 minutes to really even click sometimes. So that's it. So now we're going to talk about the call and the sales page in this sort of step. So with a call, it's typically high ticket, $2,000 or more. Sales page is sort of anything below about 1.5K. From that 1.5K to 2K range, it's kind of your decision whether you get them on a call or send them to a sales page. With a call, it'll be follow a script that breaks false beliefs and sells from an emotional and logical vantage point. So, you can look up basic sales scripts and just reformat it to fit, your consulting service or coaching service or whatever it is that you're selling, whatever product you're selling, just reformat it to fit that. Basically, you just want to, build rapport up front, ask them why they're interested, and get down to the grain. Maybe if it's a weight thing, they just feel, they feel self-conscious about their weight, or if it's a money thing, you ask them why it's a money thing, they just want to make more money to bless their family or something. You get down to that emotional, and then you sell on the logical. So you tell them why, your emotional problem will be solved through logical numbers. Here's what we've actually been able to do, whatever, right? With the sales page, same thing, except you show testimonials and you show the total value of the program. Then you sell from an emotional and logical vantage point. And the way you do that is by showing testimonials of other people with very relatable situations, right? So example of this working is my buddy Elliot Drake. He's producing about maybe just under 2x return on investment selling a program or starting a profitable social media marketing agency. And so he's building a little Facebook group. A handful of people have bought his program now. I helped him build out his webinar and just coach him along the way. He did a lot of the actual button clicking and making the work happen. I helped him out where I could, and this is working really, really well for him. and it's really, really cool to see. I've spent some time with him. We spent a month in an Airbnb in October building out a handful of these sorts of funnels to sell more stuff, and this is one that we built out, and now it's February 2019, and it's working really, really well for him. So it's pretty dope. Another dude is Conrad. He's a good friend of mine, and he's somebody that actually sells a course on starting an e-commerce business. That's his car. It's a house he rented. It's not his house, but it is his car. And he's doing pretty well for himself. I think he's like 20, and he runs a e-commerce store and then sells a program on how to run an e-commerce store for yourself. And so he actually sends people, instead of to a landing page, he sends people straight to his Instagram feed, which is like this really social proof building, and it teaches people a lot of stuff. And then the link in his Instagram is actually his webinar. So it's really, really cool. And then lastly, it's me. 2x return on investment average with all the webinar funnels that I've built out. I've sold all kinds of different stuff through webinar funnels, from courses to coaching to services, whatever else. And that's sort of how it goes. It's typically 1.5 to 2x return on investment. I've seen up to 4x return on investment when I remarketed to my personal lists. So it's one thing to go cold and sell purely to cold traffic, but what I've actually noticed works a lot better is do a lot of upfront planning. So instead of just sending straight to cold, build a Facebook group through cold traffic, sure, that's fine, or send people to a YouTube page like I'm doing now. I run YouTube ads to build my channel and stuff, and then I can retarget those people with webinars or whatever later. But retargeting semi-warm leads works a lot better than going fully cold. But if you're wanting to build a fully cold webinar, it works really, really well, and I've seen anywhere from 1.5 to 2x return on investment average. So that's sort of the end of this video. If you'd like to have my help in building one out, again, you have access to me. All the links that you're going to need are in the description. If you want to do this for your social media marketing agency and do this for your clients, again, I coach my students on how to build these out, because it's a really powerful tool to use. When one of your clients is selling like a high ticket program or high ticket service of any kind. And I highly recommend that you study up and understand how it all works so that you can implement it yourself, because webinars are just so powerful and they apply to so many different arenas, and I haven't really seen any high ticket consulting or coaching or whatever services not work well with a webinar funnel that is properly built out. The only downside to a webinar funnel is just it takes a ton of time, and if you want my help building one out, it's not cheap at all. It's something that I charge at least over $5,000 for my current agency clients. But it takes a lot of time. It's a lot of upfront investment, because you got to record the webinar, you got to build the slides for the webinar, you got to build the landing page, build the sales page. You got to do a lot in order to get this thing working. But if you get it right, it works really, really well. There's definitely a pretty high failure rate, and I think that's something that I'm very honest about. But the great thing about the failures is that if you're tracking your KPIs and you're actually tracking the funnel and how much money you're putting into it, and KPI meaning key performance indicators, like how much money you have to spend to get the person to this point in the webinar or whatever it is, tracking your KPIs, then those failures are actually just data that you can use to continue to grow. And frankly, no money is wasted if you're actually tracking your KPIs and adjusting as such. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Super technical, not no hype at all, literally just straight up technical, how to build a webinar funnel. I want more content like this on the channel, because I feel like I love just teaching broad stuff, but every once in a while, if not much more often, I want to just dive deep and talk about these sorts of strategies, because to me this is really where it's at, and I think this is the future. I think personal brands are going to start to really fade. The ones that are just flashy and hypey are going to start to fade, and the ones that actually have substance are going to stick around. And I really want to make sure that I am actually educating people and not just doing hype marketing. So thanks a ton for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if I brought you any value, helped you out, and I'll see you in the next video.